In a downtown hotel lobby, a manager dumps a housekeeper's bag and shatters her insulin vial in front of guests. A probationary night clerk breaks a strict rule to get her an emergency refill, risking his job and emptying his bank account. The fallout is quiet but real as small procedures and habits shift, restoring a measure of dignity without fanfare. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The glass vial hit the lobby tile and burst. He had hauled the canvas tote out of her hands. It thudded to the floor like laundry. Then the manager dragged it by the strap and upended it in front of the doorman and 3 guests in wool coats. Pens, a Tupperware of rice, a folded scarf, and the vial tumbled out. Clear liquid splashed across the polished stone and ran into the grout. He saw it from the front desk printer. The older housekeeper folded into herself, arms tight over her middle, eyes wide like someone who had taken a punch. A radio hissed on the manager's shoulder. "Random bag check," he said, not looking at her. He stepped on the scarf by accident. 5 more weeks and his benefits would start. The night clerk had a list in his wallet with due dates, rent, his sister's bus ticket, his inhaler refill. He had been told twice in training not to leave the desk after midnight, not even to help a guest with the luggage. "You're the spine of the lobby," the trainer had said. "Spines don't wander." The older woman's hands shook as she tried to scoop up the wet label from the broken glass. She whispered in Selena, like she was apologizing to the floor. The couple by the fireplace turned away and stared instead at the fake logs. Behind the desk, the printer chewed out folios. The white noise of HVAC never stopped. He stepped out from behind the marble desk. "Stop," he said, voice low and calm. "That's her insulin." His tie brushed the counter. He grabbed napkins from the bar cart and crouched, sliding the napkins into the shining mess, careful around the shards. "Back to your station," the manager said. He had the look of someone who had already been told 3 times today by someone above him that losses were on him. He pointed at the desk with 2 fingers. "We're losing towels and duvets. 0 tolerance, no," he said. He wasn't loud. He could hear his own heart in his ears. He kept the napkins pressed to the floor, moving the wet into a pile. "Leave the desk and you're done," the manager said. The radio on his shoulder hissed again. He glanced toward the camera dome near the ceiling, like it was a witness he needed. He took the woman's elbow and steered her to the revolving door. She moved like the ground was tilted. The doorman hit the hold button with his foot, jaw tight. "Behind them," manager said. "We'll discuss this," but it didn't sound like a discussion. Outside, the city had that late-night equation of taxis and steam and people with places to be. He opened the passenger door of his old Civic, cleared empty water bottles with quick sweeps, and buckled her in. She kept glancing back at the lobby as if her life might still be inside. He hustled back inside and grabbed a coat from the lost and found bin. He scribbled, "Emergency errand, back ASAP," on a note and tapped it to the desk bell. The bellman nodded once without smiling. The elevator chimed. The manager said something into the radio that sounded like a complaint written for a form. The 24-hour pharmacy hummed like a fridge. Fluorescent lights hummed too. A tired pharmacist in a red vest blinked through the glass as he explained there was a way to do an emergency fill if the doctor's office confirmed the prescription. The woman sat on a plastic chair with her purse tight to her lap. She didn't take up much space. He gave the pharmacist the crumpled label he had peeled from the napkins. It was wet and bent. He put his phone on the counter and Googled the clinic number, held while a soft voice talked about hours of operation. He kept his voice even. He said, "We have a situation." He spelled her last name 3 times. While they waited, he grabbed a bottle of orange juice from a cooler and put it in her hands. "Drink," he said, and did the motion with his own hand until she did. Small sips. He knew some things about sugar and the body. He watched the clock on the far wall move slow. $289. The screen blinked. His stomach dropped. He slid his debit card out like it weighed more than it did. He thought about rent, inhaler, bus ticket. He pressed his thumb to the reader. The machine beeped. 289 became 0 in his account app, green turning red. The pharmacist bagged a small box with a serious care. He added alcohol, swabs and pen needles and a printout, one-time courtesy fill, he said. "Tell her to keep it cold." He glanced at her and dropped his voice. "Maybe also tell her to change pharmacies. We're cheaper than downtown." They sat on the metal bench outside the pharmacy. The concrete was gritty under his shoes. Traffic hissed past. He assembled the pen and showed her the click. He didn't watch her inject. He watched the sidewalk instead, the small city things, gum wrappers, a zip tie, a flattened bottle cap. When she was done, she let out a breath she had been holding for a while. She said gracias in a careful way that looked like it hurt her to say it. He nodded. Of course, he said. He didn't say anything else. He didn't ask her for a story. He didn't talk about the lobby. He drove her home through green lights. The radio played something soft. She held the pharmacy bag like it was borrowed and she had to be careful not to wrinkle it. Her place was a studio over a laundromat. The neon sign downstairs buzzed and blinked an S on and off. The stairwell smelled like soap and wet metal. She fumbled for the key, fingers clumsy, and he stood behind her pretending not to see. Inside, the air was warm and a little sweet. A small fan pushed it around. On the table, there was a folded paper with the hotel's logo and the words "Final Warning" stamped across it. He looked away. On the counter, a plastic measuring cup with rice drying in it. A pair of men's sneakers under a chair. A coloring book on the couch with a robot on the cover, crayoned in blue. On the fridge, a calendar was crowded with small boxes. Names were squeezed into spaces. Miguel Pickup, Laundry, Clinic, Night Shift. The third of the month had a star next to it, Rent. A magnet shaped like a bus held a folded route map. Another magnet held a printout from the clinic with her A1C circled and a reminder about doses. She put the insulin in an old lunchbox with a blue ice pack that had fogged over. She set the lunchbox on the top shelf like it was a book in a library. She clicked the fridge door shut. Her shoulders dropped a little. He picked up the scarf she had used to line her tote. He ran it under water in the sink, rinsed out lobby tile and shame. He hung it over a chair back. She stood near the door, hands still. She said in a small voice, "They check the bags every Friday now." He nodded and didn't say what sat on his tongue. He didn't say the manager's name or the word policy. He said, "I can drive you in tomorrow. We'll get there early." He pictured the lobby in the morning light, brighter but not kinder. His phone buzzed. A text from the manager, "Report to office. You left your post." The words sat there like a trap. Another text followed from the bellman. "He's mad." HR looped. "Watch yourself." He put the phone down on the counter. He said, "Get some sleep." She nodded like sleep was something she could find and keep. He wrote his number on the margin of the clinic printout and pushed it toward her. "If your sugar drops tonight," he said. "If you feel shaky," she folded the paper once, twice. Back in the car, the receipt sat on his passenger seat like a small white weight. He drove slow. He turned the radio off. He didn't think about the office yet. He thought about the napkins soaked through, the edge of the scarf under a shoe. He parked under the hotel's service entrance and sat for a minute with the engine off. He could see the glow from the employee hallway through the glass. He pictured the manager in the tiny office with the whiteboard that always said shrinkage 3.1%. He pictured the dot next to his name on the schedule turning red. Inside, his badge light didn't turn green. Security watched him try it twice. The guard avoided his eyes and said, "He wants to see you." The guard lifted his own coffee without drinking it. In the office, the manager rubbed the bridge of his nose. "You can't just disappear," he said without heat. "We had a wedding party check-in." He tapped a printout with a pen. "And we have a theft problem." He said, "You did that in the lobby." He kept his voice steady. People watched. "You broke her insulin." He used plain words because they were heavy enough. The manager opened his mouth and closed it. He looked at the camera feed, then at the door. "You're on probation," he said finally. "You leave your station again, it's immediate. Tonight, go home. We'll talk tomorrow with HR." He pushed a form across the desk. "Incident report." He wrote it. He wrote the sound the vial made. He wrote the napkins, the juice, the pharmacy. He did not write the part where his card balance went to zero. He did not mention the calendar or the shoes under the chair. At home, he tucked the pharmacy receipt behind his ID in his wallet. He turned his phone face down on the nightstand. It lit up anyway in the dark with words he didn't want. He lay awake until the sky went from black to grey. In the morning, he picked her up. She had her lunchbox with the blue ice pack and a small thermos. She wore the scarf he had rinsed. It was still damp at the ends. Neither of them mentioned it. They walked through the employee entrance. The time clock beeped. The manager stood by the door with a security guard and a clipboard, but he didn't say anything this time. He looked at the floor. He walked away. In the weeks after, small things shifted. The sign by the time clock changed. Bag checks in staff office only. Someone taped a strip of blue painter's tape on the tile near the door. Little block letters on it. PR'd VO beyond this line. Housekeeping got a small fridge in their closet with a marker and labels. On the top shelf there was a bin that said Meds Do Not Touch. He kept 2 orange juice boxes under the front desk now, behind the guest maps. He told the new trainee where they were. If someone looked shaky, he said, and left it at that. The trainee nodded too fast and then slower. The bellman started to hold the elevator door for the housekeeping cart in a way that looked casual but wasn't. The doorman said morning to the housekeepers by name. One night, a guest in a wool coat asked if everything was okay in the lobby the other night, and he said, "We handled it," and slid her key across the counter. A memo went up from HR. It mentioned dignity and privacy and medical accommodations in bullet points. It wasn't a parade. It was a piece of paper that someone would stop seeing after a week. But the blue bin sat there in the fridge, and the painter's tape didn't peel. He counted his cash twice before the first of the month and still came up short. His sister sent him a picture of her bus ticket anyway. He cut back on coffee. He brought rice and beans in a plastic tub. He avoided the manager unless he had to sign something. One late shift, the manager stood at the back of the lobby and watched a housekeeping cart roll by. He shifted his weight. He said to nobody, "We lost 10 duvets last month. Corporate is on me." He rubbed the back of his neck. He didn't say anything about vials or napkins. He didn't say sorry. He stopped doing bag dumps in the lobby. He lingered in the staff hallway on a Tuesday at dawn. The fluorescent light buzzed and the soda machine hummed. He opened the housekeeping fridge and saw the little bin, the med pens in their boxes, the blue ice pack clouded with frost. He closed the door gently. The hallway smelled like lemon cleaner. Down the hall, the older woman pushed her cart with both hands steady now. He held the door for her. Outside, the sky was getting that thin, pale color before the sun showed up.